righty, we're going to get going on to our next session, attracting next-gen pros. So we've got a great group up here. Attracting, hiring, and retaining the next generation of talent is a challenge every dealer feels, and today we're going straight to the source. In Attracting Next-Gen Pros, a 40 Under 40 panel discussion, 40 Under 40 alumnus Emily Morgan will moderate a candid conversation with 5 members of LBM Journal's 2025 40 Under 40 class: Sadie Hammond-Barabee, Bowen Chapman, Justin Bigham, Victoria Zimmerman, and Scott Nicholson. You'll hear what makes an employer stand out during recruiting, onboarding, and beyond, what excites these leaders about their future in our industry, and practical ideas to make your company a place where tomorrow's pros want to make a career. This will be interactive, so be thinking about your questions throughout. Please join me in welcoming moderator Emily Morgan and our panelists Sadie, Bowen, Justin, Victoria, and Scott.
Not a Justin-sized stool.
Yeah.
I know. Hi, everyone. My name is Emily Morgan. I'm so excited to be here today. So I was a panelist on this same panel last year and have the pleasure of moderating it this year. So I'm really thrilled to bring you these 40 Under 40 honorees this year. And we're just going to kind of start with intros. So let's see, I'll tell you just a tiny bit about myself. I'm the CEO of Ashby Lumber. We're based in California, outside the Bay Area, and we have 2 locations. So Sadie, if you'd take it from there.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Sadie Hammond-Barabee with Hammond Lumber Company. We have 34 locations across Maine and New Hampshire with over 1,200 employees. We do about $470 million of revenue each year, and I am our Director of Organizational Development and fourth generation of the family business.
Hi, I'm Bowen Chapman, Vice President of Four Corners Building Supply, which we started 6 years ago. We have 2 locations, one in Charleston, which is the one we first started, and then Hardyville. We have about, let's just say 76 employees, and we'll do about $48 million in sales this year.
I'm Justin Bigham. I'm the Purchasing and Pricing Manager for HT Lumber. We've got 2 locations, Houston and Dallas, 60 employees, and we will do about $90 million this year.
I'm Victoria Zimmerman. I'm the HR Director at Shepley Wood Products, which is one of the Kodiak family companies. So I have been there about 5 years. We do about slightly over 100 mil in revenue each year. We have 140 employees, 3 locations, 2 on Cape and 1 on Nantucket.
I'm Scott Nicholson, GM and COO of Dakota County Lumber. We just have one location just south of the Twin Cities in Minnesota. We'll do just under $30 million this year, and I've been with the company for 11 years.
Very nice. So the topic of this panel, what we're sort of brought up here to share with all of you, is what we see as the best practices around retaining and recruiting sort of young talent into the industry. So I thought we'd kind of start out with having our panelists tell us what brought them into the industry. So kind of sharing a little bit of history about their career paths and what attracted them either through a family business or starting a business sort of into our industry.
Yeah. So I graduated from the University of Tennessee, go Vols. And after I graduated college, I moved back home to Maine. Being 4th generation of the business, I always knew I wanted to go back and work for the family business. Always dreamed of it growing up, and so to move back home and to kind of realize that dream, it's just been a great experience. Over the past few years, I've been learning everything about the business from all aspects. I started off doing sales and sales support, and from there I've shadowed every department, trying to learn as much as I can. And then today, again, just still learning everything I can, working closely with my dad, grandfather, and sister, and with a little special focus on employee engagement.
I grew up in the building supply business. My family has a 105-year-old masonry supply business that also is in the wholesale business as well. So tended to err on the child labor. I was a 12-year-old driving a forklift, unloading brick trucks and loading mortar into trucks. So guess I had it in my blood to begin with. I went to North Carolina for school and moved down to Charleston because I thought it'd be a fun place to live, and found a job on monster.com at 84 Lumber. So started out as an MT there, which was a great training ground. So I spent a couple years there, then was recruited to an independent called Buck Lumber, and I was there for about 9 years before we made the plunge into starting Four Corners, which was quite the undertaking. I'm fourth generation also. We merged with my family about 3 years ago, and so it's been an exciting to be able to do that and work with your family. And we went from a very young and exciting, young company that was constantly struggling with how to grow to it helped us a lot to open our second store when we merged.
Mine's quite the opposite. My dad talked me out of the family business of teaching. I walked into a lumber yard at about 22, got a job on a forklift with Cassidy Jones, and worked my way up through dispatch and inside sales. Did a lot of fake it till you make it. Pretended like I knew what everybody was talking about. Went home and researched it, and came back and talked to them about everything that they said the day before, and slowly just, by attrition, learned what everybody was talking about. And this is my 10th year in it this year. So, but I really found a home in the industry. I like to drive my wife crazy when we drive down areas and say, I built that house. We put that door in that home there. This is one of my favorite parts about the industry, is seeing the impact we make in the communities we're around. So, this is my favorite part about it, is seeing all that. So,
I have a little bit of a different story. I've been in HR for almost 20 years. I started in college. I went to Tufts University for psychology, which is kind of the generic major of anyone who doesn't know what they want to do. So that's what I did. Coming out of school, I went to a headhunter and said, I need a job. And they said, why don't you work for us? So I started at a recruitment firm. I lasted about 11 months and said, it's not for me. And I went to HR inside an organization, starting with GBH, which is the PBS affiliate in Boston. So I worked there for about 10 years doing HR, mostly focused on employee and labor relations. I loved it. It was a lot of creative, cool people. And then I decided to have a family, and I had my daughter, went into consulting for a while, worked for a bunch of different not-for-profits, municipalities, and then I had a COVID baby, and I said, I can't be in the city anymore, because we lived in Boston at the time, and we moved to Cape Cod, which is just about an hour and a half for anyone who doesn't know the area. Coastal, I like to say it's the place people vacation. It's not that glamorous, but it's still a nice location. And I got into lumber. So Shepley hired me as their HR manager at the time. And after being there for about a year and a half, they asked if I would join the senior leadership team as the HR director and kind of focus on helping them align our kind of people strategy with our business strategy. And I've gotten a little bit more involved in operations, but definitely I still gravitate towards dealing with people because that's what I love to do.
So I graduated high school and kind of realized that I wasn't going to play in the NHL, and had no idea what else I was going to do. So I went to college and had a lot of fun, but didn't go to many classes. And I worked concrete for a buddy's company, and just realized that wasn't for me. So I met Sunny at a job fair, I think it was like the Housing First job fair in the Twin Cities, and that was 11 years ago, and kind of been here ever since. So.
Very nice. All right. Well, I think, we can see it's a lot of impressive stories, right? But what a lot of young people are looking for is growth opportunities. So whether you're sort of starting at the bottom or you're in the family business, the way, into leadership is through growth paths and sort of different opportunities throughout the company to learn some of the operations side and sort of all of the different facets of running an LBM business, right? So now we're going to kind of segue to attracting talent. So Justin, we're going to start with you. Tell us a little bit what you guys do at HT to attract talent into the organization.
Well, one of the big parts about HT is being a young company. We are really focused on growth, and so there's a lot of opportunities as we expand. And so as we expand, there are a lot of avenues where we don't necessarily have the infrastructure there yet. So we've got to create jobs or we got to create opportunities. And so with people that are either currently with us, it provides a lot of opportunity to expand their knowledge or expand their opportunity. Or we go look for experienced operators, especially young people, because they have a lot of ideas. We don't have a ton of experienced operators within our company that have been around for a long time. We do a lot of consultants that help guide us, that have been in the industry for a long time, but we've grown, having zero revenue on the books 3.5 years ago to now being 90 million at the end of this year. We have had to really expand our scope and add different revenue streams, add different ways that we operate, add different locations. And what that has allowed us to do is take people internally who may not have been in the industry and give them different ways to be either an operator in an industry that they never knew, which provides a ton of advancement in either their current job or a totally different job that they never had before, but gave them opportunities to grow their education, grow their experience levels. And we are very open to that. Anybody who has an interest that wants to learn this, giving them first dibs at those opportunities and providing them the structure and the education tools to get that. That's one thing that really excites a lot of our employees. And so we making those things open and saying these are the roles we're looking to fill, who has the want to really see themselves in this role down the way. So just providing those as opportunities has been provided a lot of excitement to our employees, especially the younger crowd, people that may not have known where they want to end up, in 5 or 10 years, but they could see themselves doing something like that, or it sparks an interest in them. Providing them the tools to fill those roles has shown a lot of interest and made a lot of people long-term employees that we weren't sure about in the short term at that time.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, Bowen, I'm going to go to you next. Because I think there's some, similar startup environment between your two companies, right? So when you're really trying to build and you're growing fast, talk to us about sort of recruiting talent into your organization.
That was early on when we started. We did not have a strategy at all. It was kind of, hey, can you show up to work? Can you be there on time? Even if you don't know anything, we'll figure it out. And then when COVID hit, you could not, at one point I remember going into the office on a Sunday because we had a driver call out and another driver was on vacation, and I was practicing driving the Moffett in the yard to make sure I had to do it if I had to go out and make a delivery. And I do not have a CDL, so, but you try to learn from some of your mistakes and talk to others about what they do to recruit and bring in talent. I think that one thing we've tried to do is be very open with our hiring process and how you're not going to come in. Everybody says they want to be in sales, and so we try to manage expectations, have a timeline. Have them start from they all start out in the yard, spend time there receiving. They spend time with purchasing. They go through accounting, do all those things. But our recruiting has been primarily, through word of mouth and through people. I think we encourage everybody to. We give bonuses out for people to, that have a friend or know somebody that's in the industry. I think on the growth side, that's an easy selling point. That you're going to have opportunities to advance yourself with us. We want to grow. We want we want shared leadership. We want you to have a voice and be a leader within the company. And I think that's been an important way for us to bring in new people. But I can't say that it's ever been easy. You think you're going to, I don't know how many times we've thought we're going to hire somebody and they've signed the paperwork and then 2 days later they no-show. We've recently used some recruiters for hiring people. So I'll keep you posted on how that turns out.
Awesome. Okay, Victoria, we're going to go to you. So we'd love to hear from the HR perspective, right? I think HR as a role and most of our organizations has grown and grown. And so it's great to hear that your company's added you to the leadership team as you're kind of, making big decisions. People are a huge part of that, right? So talk to us a little bit about what you guys are doing at Shepley in terms of attracting talent, retaining talent, and some of the cool training programs that you guys are doing.
Yeah. So I think from attracting talent, it's interesting because if you're not familiar with Cape Cod, to get there, you have to cross a bridge. If you're not familiar with Massachusetts traffic, you will understand crossing that bridge can take a long time. So it's a very insular area to recruit for. And that means there's a limited pool of talent. What I think also, though, creates opportunity is once you get that talent in, there are not many organizations as great as Shepley to keep you employed. So we have the opportunity for retention on a very different level than a lot of other organizations. So in terms of getting people in, our biggest selling point is our people. We have a culture that is really, and I'm not just saying this, and it was well before my time, it's really incredible. And I think it sells itself. And so part of our recruitment process is we actually invite our candidates to spend a day with us shadowing. It's a way of them seeing, I can sit here and tell you this is a wonderful company. We offer wonderful benefits. We do all the career pathing you want, but it means nothing if it doesn't actually feel that way when they join. So we allow people to come in, spend the day with us. We actually pay them to spend the day with us. So they get to spend the time with the team. They get to shadow the team on what their job would look like. And it gives them a real sense of the people they'd be working with, the culture they're going to be part of, and what we're really asking of them. So it's kind of a unique process. And I think what is really important is that culture is one of belonging. It's one of empowerment. It's one of, we like people's ideas. We like bringing in new people with fresh thoughts and perspectives. And so if we can show that in the interview process, we're attracting the right people in. In terms of then retaining them, that is where our responsibility becomes a little bit more significant. It's one of those things of I do think the workforce is moving faster. People like change. People like to try new opportunities more quickly than they used to. And so we used to very much have a culture where people kind of waited for that next opportunity. Now I think we owe it to them to find those opportunities and get in front of it. So they're not constantly knocking on our door, but we're already laying out for them, hey, this is in front of you. This is what you can do. Training is a big piece of that. I don't know if you want me to go into the whole training program right now, but training is a big piece of that. In terms of retention, the only other thing I would say is sometimes it's also really important to realize that there are some people you may not want to retain. So I know we're all scared to have a lack and shortage of staffing, but sometimes there are points in an organization where you can say this person isn't the right person anymore, or we don't have the opportunity for them that they're looking for, and we owe it to be honest to them about that. So I think talent doesn't just go in the door, it goes out the door sometimes too, and figuring out how to create that balance is really important.
I did get ahead of myself a little bit when I brought up the training program,
Okay.
so my apologies. Talk to us a little bit about the housing program, though, because I think that one is really interesting and unique, something that I hadn't heard before.
So Cape Cod is extremely expensive to live at, and Nantucket, we have 3 locations, 2 on Cape and 1's on Nantucket. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Nantucket, but Cape Cod's expensive, Nantucket's even more expensive. So it's a very, very small island with it's hard to find housing that is reasonable for people. So when Tony Shepley started the business many years ago, he invested in employee housing. which I think is a wonderful recruitment tool. It is a wonderful opportunity to get people on the island who want to be there, so we're not commuting people back and forth and all that. It comes with its challenges because you are now the landlord as well as the employer. So there's definitely that component of it. But it is a unique benefit that a lot of organizations aren't able to provide. So it's been a big sell for us when we're trying to attract people to be at that location. On Cape, we do not have housing the same way, but one of the commitments we've made as a company is being really involved in different efforts to build affordable housing and affordable living on Cape. So we do a lot of advocacy around that. We do a lot of partnership around that. So when we have opportunities to help people find homes that are more reasonable cost, it's a win for them to be able to buy a house on Cape Cod, but it's also a win for us to be able to keep our talent close to home.
Yeah, I just think it's so impressive because we also are from a very high cost area, and it's always a challenge for our employees to find housing. So I think it's great to be a part of the solution. All right, Scott, on to you. So I think the thing we all want to know is, what is it like working for Sunny? I'm just kidding. Okay, got it. I'm not going to make you answer that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Talk to us about... Sorry, Sunny. Talk to us about your social media and how that sort of plays into your recruiting strategy.
Yeah, it's so important. It's such a great tool to allow people like a window into like the company culture, and they ask about it all the time. Like, I just had someone ask like, how many events do you have like for the employees? And I was like, here's the link to the Instagram. Like, I don't actually know a ton. Like, so it's just such a great tool that is, relatively inexpensive, and yeah.
Yes, sort of a living history. So one of the other things that a few of you mentioned when we chatted is using personality assessments. So does anyone want to take on that one for us? Just kind of how are you using them in either recruiting or just sort of how you're managing employees in your organization?
I guess I can step up. Do y'all use it too? We definitely an interest of mine, and it was I found out from HR that apparently we can't use certain ones you can't use for hiring and different things like that. But we used it for our team, and we've used DISC, Enneagram, we've used Culture Index, which was very interesting just to see where what your team looked like, and then for management, for our operations manager, basically like it explained a lot of the reasoning behind coaching his people differently, and gave them a different view on that. Our sales, it was a little depressing in some degree. We only had 2 of our 6 salesmen were only really a true fit for sales, and I think sales comes in all different forms, and but it not that we use it as the end all be all of, okay, yes, you can definitely be in sales, or you're going to be great at operations, or this person is a introvert, extrovert, but it allows you to have a different perspective on them, and also know how to talk to them and address them, and how they're going to respond to whether it's encouragement publicly or privately setting to the side and saying, hey, listen, we need to go, we need to improve on these things, because it's amazing how you really have to treat everybody differently based on their personalities, in my opinion.
I'll kind of piggyback on that. We've even gone as far as on the office doors. Maybe this one is working. Can you hear me? We even put the shorthand of the assessments on our doors that tells you how people like to be approached in conversation, whether they like to drive the conversation, whether they like to follow in conversation, and things of that nature. So like if you have to speak with somebody, it tells you kind of how they want to be received in conversation and things of that nature. And it does help because you have such a difference in personalities. So, if a leader is coming to a team member who may feel, a little, who may not really take criticism very well, it does say on their door, like, this person is kind of an introvert, this person doesn't receive certain things well, so that leader can say, this is somebody I need to approach in a soft manner or something, in case that person, if it's the CEO who's not sitting at that office all the time, he can get a quick update of that person's personality before he approaches that employee or that team member. And so everybody can get a quick update of that personality before they walk into that door and have a conversation with those people. And so it's just a nice, easy reminder of that personality and how they receive conversations every time you need to go have a conversation with a person. So those indexes on the hiring front have been really nice, but also just in day-to-day conversations, it reminds you how people receive and take conversations and other stuff. Really nice, so.
It reminds me of the saying, it used to be treat people how you want to be treated, and now it's treat people how they want to be treated, right? So we have to be a lot more flexible in our leadership to understand who these employees are and what they value and what motivates and drives them, not just what we think should motivate and drive them, right? Okay, so we're going to kind of switch over to sort of the development, continued learning part now. So Victoria, I'm going to circle back to you and actually, tell us about sort of all the training programs that you guys are doing at Shepley.
Yeah. So again, I'm going to give a plug to Massachusetts. We are very lucky. Our state gives us state funding if we apply for grants. So last year, we kind of did an assessment through employee surveys that we do every year, but also just feedback, observation from managers, myself, the leadership team, that our training felt stale. So we kind of wanted to reassess how we're doing it, what we were tackling. So we applied for a grant. We got $200,000 worth of grant money to do training. And the way that grant works is we have to match it in payroll funds, which include benefits and all of that. So it's not free to us, but essentially, as long as your people are showing up, it is money that is available to us. And out of that, I think we kind of approach three main strategies I'll go through. There's been a lot of conversation around AI, and I think that's extremely important. And we are definitely looking at ways to better our use of systems, technology, all of that. But I think that also what we really focused on was that the human skills are going to be a differentiator. Because eventually AI is going to get us all to a certain point, and then again, what makes us different? And so I think that making sure people feel equipped to have those conversations. We're also reliant on technology. It's easy to hide behind a text or an email. Being able to actually get in front of someone and have a conversation and have a laugh and share, whatever you need to share with them is really important. And so you will often hear soft skills. I don't like that word. I'm going to the human skills as more of a terminology because I think that's more relevant and a little bit more depictive of what I'm talking about. The other piece of it is we noticed a significant skill gap in our workforce between having people with a lot of knowledge and a lot of newbies with a lot of new skills, and that knowledge in between was kind of missing. So we set up a program that was really focused on setting our senior people up for success to be trainers. So we did a lot of train the trainer programs. We did a lot of presentation skills. We managed to get them equipped to be able to then share their knowledge in a productive way with the newer workforce. And then lastly, the other thing that I would say was really important to us, I already said technology and AI, the human skills, and then it was the idea that training is only relevant if you actually take away something and put it back into action. So what we have done is we work with a particular communications specialist trainer who does everything from performance management to presentation skills to all sorts of different trainings, AI productivity, and we partnered her on every training with someone within the organization. So the reason we did that is she brings all this theory and knowledge and expertise, but our person makes it relatable. Our person can say, hey, this is what she's talking about, and this is how we show up every day doing that. And we found that the traction around it was just really positive. And we did this kind of training for everyone in the organization. That was a big commitment of ours, is touching everybody. So whether you drive a forklift, you load box trucks, you are outside sales, you're in a management position, everybody had to participate. And so it brought us all together. Customer service training was another big one where we really focused on taking care of the internal customer, because if you take care of each other, you take care of the external. that's kind of the high level, but I could go on about it for ages. I love training. So.
I think we all agree we could use $200,000 for training in our organization, so maybe we need to move to Massachusetts. All right, Sadie, we're gonna head over to you. So tell us a little bit about your mentorship program at Hammond.
Sure. So our mentor program we implemented this past year. We ran a trial program for a few months with 6 of our locations, and then fully implemented it company-wide. We have mentors at each of our locations, and the mentors are assigned mentees, which are all the new hires coming into the company. The mentors were nominated by our branch managers and then approved by HR if they were in good standing with HR. And then they went through a formal training process. We trained on effective communication, conflict resolution, just overall leadership and what it means to be a mentor. And so we found that many of our locations were already doing this informally, and I'm sure many of you are in your own way, and we just wanted to make it a real structured program for our employees and for our new hires. And so I think the direct result of the mentor program has been like an improved and consistent onboarding process, which is great. But I think my favorite part of the mentor program has been seeing how fulfilled the mentors are in their roles. That is just one impact that we weren't expecting to come from the mentor program. But it has just given the mentors such a meaningful way to give back and lead. I think especially there aren't always like leadership or manager positions available. So this has given them the opportunity to do that. And I think it's just a great way to engage not only the new hires, but as well as the existing employees.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, Scott, so over to you. You guys also have a leadership cohort. So tell us the backstory and how that's working out in your organization.
Yeah, so this is kind of version like 2.0 because I created the first one and it sucked. It was basically a book club, but we realized that it was super important and like there were so many positives that came out of it. So now I think there's 6 to 8 people on this in the cohort, and they'll learn about like emotional intelligence, and I think next week they're learning about negotiation skills, which I guess you just say yes to whatever. So yeah, they'll learn about different things, and it's been great, like letting those people kind of learn and kind of grow and hearing what their thought process and all that stuff is. So
that's great, thank you. All right, Bowen, over to you.
Standard onboarding, we kind of learned by mistakes as well, Matt. So there's whether you're a forklift driver or warehouse worker or accounting or salesperson, there's a basic, checklist that you have to go through over the course of the first 3 months at Four Corners. And so it's tailored a little bit based on, what you're doing there, but, it does allow everybody, allow you to understand, what our, AP and AR team do. And then, you spend, a lot of them will go ride with a driver or you're in the yard pulling, but I'll put a little bit of focus on the sales training, which, and I'll plug Bradley. I've tried a couple different, sales training programs, and we, have used Bradley for, this will be, I think, our 3rd or 4th salesperson now, and it works. But what we invest in our people basically. So we show them the investment we're making in them by sending them to training. We've also, out of my 3rd best salesperson, told me he was more passionate about becoming an estimator, and then he really liked to train, and he wanted to show everybody that was in sales how basically the process. So we have 3 guys right now that are in our kind of internal Four Corners sales training, and they have a weekly kind of hour and a half plan estimating training session that they do. And then once a month, they go to a job site and they're going through the house, just kind of pulling a plan to paper to the actual physical house being built. And that's been we've seen real success in how quickly they're able to learn. And having worked at 84, where you went to lumber camp, you went up to 84 Pennsylvania, and then you had to take lumber tests. It was a great training ground. And so with a small with an independent and not having 20 stores, you sometimes miss on the training side of things. And so it's we feel like we're on the right path with this and trying to. And especially, it's nice to have some people you worked with that enjoy training people and want to do it. I mean, we have the same guy that does it for, people pulling loads. He spends, it's an honor for him to do it. And when they take that ownership and they really show that they like to mentor these people, it's really nice to see that.
Bradley, how much did you pay for that plug? Just kidding. Okay. So now we're going to just talk a little bit more about culture. As we sort of discuss some of these topics among this group, it became very clear when we're saying we want to attract people to our companies, we want to retain them in our companies, that the best way to do that is to have a culture that they actually want to be a part of, right? So I think let's kind of start talking about some of the ways that we're sort of growing and sort of managing culture inside of our company. So Justin, why don't you start us off? What are you guys doing at HT to kind of continue to grow and cultivate the culture that you have?
I'm going to focus a lot on our locales. Being Houston and Dallas, 200 plus miles separate. The big focus that the leadership group is really worried about is developing two different cultures, not being able to physically be in the same place with every employee consistently. So we kind of got together as a group and we maintain this communication is about how do we keep everybody really focused on the unity of the company and not developing two different cultures. And so what we do is weekly we get together and we have an all hands meeting, which is almost no business talk. It's strictly focused on culture and focused on the employees, creating relationships as best we can, being separated by physical distance. And so in that all hands meeting, there are about three metrics that we look at, and it's basically just top line data. It's basically how is each store performing, just a quick weekly update, whether it's revenue, just a quick margin update and a quick physical volume count. And then the rest of the meeting is charitable contributions, community involvement. What are you guys up to right now? What's the fun things going on? Whose birthday is it right now? And then we have a spotlight that goes on, and one team member from either location, whoever got picked, introduces themselves. What's their favorite food? We do a little interview, and about every quarter we switch that interview out once every team member has gone through it, and then the interview changes. This quarter right now, it's who's your favorite cartoon character? What's your favorite cuisine? What's your favorite car? What do you want to learn in the next 12 months, personally or professionally? Explain the top 3 duties of your job here at HT so people can actually understand what you do on a daily basis. Because most people know each other by their title, not actually by what they do daily. And so just really gaining an understanding of the person and not their title more often. And this meeting is over Teams. It's the full team on each location. There is a lot of chatter. There's a lot of back and forth. Last year, it was a trivia contest was involved in it. Sometimes that can get a little too competitive. We were going back and forth. We had a big golden stump that got handed back and forth between the company locations. It got a little vicious there at the end. We had to get rid of the competition because it was getting a little too hard. People were getting a little angry at one another. Houston and Dallas were not friendly there for a bit. So I think we're going to blow the stump up at some point, just to get rid of all the bad feelings. But yeah, anything, we put a heavy focus on maintaining some type of just cultural engagement, no business, making sure that we're looking at each other, visually, and trying to find some way that we can get together as a team, get the business out of the way, whether it's 15 to 30 minutes a week, and just enjoy the company and, have some type of engagement that's non-business, and making sure that our people know each other while we can't physically put them together all the time, but we can still get their engagement, so.
All right, Victoria, I already got ahead of myself and made you talk about the employee housing. So is there anything else you want to add in terms of what you guys are doing around culture and culture building at Shepley?
Yeah, I think one thing over the last 2 years, we've made some pretty significant staffing changes, and that's moving people into different roles and resetting some expectations of different teams and different positions. And I think what has made a difference is, and we were kind of talking about this earlier, change can be really scary. And this is a time where I saw change as everybody was super engaged and excited about it. And I think the reason is because we were transparent about it. We were absolutely focused on accountability. That's a survey thing that has come up year after year, is people keep saying, I want you to hold us accountable. I want you to hold the person next to me accountable. And so we've really focused on that. And we talk about it all the time, which probably drives people crazy. But I think that we also have to live it in our culture every single day, and every single person is part of that. So we've really focused on setting people up in the right positions. And when change happens, it's not a negative. It's actually just resetting to make us a better team. And so we've really built a culture of, it's kind of fun to want to win. And so that is the energy that is coming through right now is, hey, we don't want anyone to be unsuccessful. We want you to be in the position to be most successful. And maybe that's not what you're thinking right now or where you're sitting right now, but it could be over here. So really being strategic and being honest with people about it. So I think that's kind of a shift that I've seen in our culture, that we've really focused on those open lines of communication at all levels of the organization that have been really, really positive. I think we always have taken the approach of human first. We've heard that a lot today, but I do think that's where we start, is everybody in the room is a human. Then they're an employee, or then they're a manager, or then they're this. So a mutual respect is fundamental to our culture. And as someone who, our leadership team right now is a little bit small, and we're looking to expand it, but having me at the table, I'm definitely newer to the industry. I'm a little bit different, and the respect that my leadership team has showed me in welcoming my ideas, my thoughts, all of that has sent a really good positive message to me as an employee, and we try to do that with every person in the organization. So no matter what your position is how do we marry people who've been in the industry for a long time, who may be more senior leaders, with more junior emerging leaders who have different ideas, and the reality is both bring value. So how do we marry that value and create that culture where we can just be open about it and say, hey, I don't know that, but you do, and that's awesome. So.
I think it's a perfect segue into Sadie. So Sadie sort of championed an employee engagement committee. Obviously, Hammond is a lot bigger. So kind of tell us about your engagement committee and how it's all developed and how you get everyone engaged.
Yeah, so we have had an employee engagement committee since 2020. It started in the middle of the COVID, and the reason for starting it was every year we had summer annual outings for our employees and their families, and then COVID hit, so we had to cancel those. And a few of us, myself and a few of our members on our management team, got together, and we just asked each other, like, how can we still show appreciation for our employees? Like, we can't get together. Like, how are we gonna still let them know that we appreciate everything that they're doing for us? And so we didn't really know what the best answer was going to be. And so we decided, hey, let's actually talk to the employees ourselves and get some ideas, and how are they going to feel most valued? And so that's where the idea spurred from, and we've been doing it for the past 5 years. our committee consists of 1 to 2 employees from each of our locations, and we meet every 2 to 3 months over Zoom, where we talk about a whole range of ideas. Sometimes it's just an open forum where employees, they gather the feedback from the branches and they bring these ideas to the committee. Other times we have dedicated topics that we talk about. And the ideas, everything is welcome. And I think that's part of the culture of the committee that we wanted. We didn't want people to be afraid to share their ideas. We do have a few management representatives on the committee as well, more so just to help moderate and facilitate the conversation. But it's been great. People have been very honest and open with what they have to say. And we've come away from the committee with small ideas such as putting picnic tables outside so people can enjoy their lunch outside. The mentor program was an idea that came from the engagement committee as well. Every winter during a little bit of our slower months, we have a best practices and SOP training for all of our departments. And so it's really just been a great forum for employees to connect and kind of let their ideas be heard. And I think to keep employees engaged, we have to be willing to listen to their ideas and take on new ideas. And this has been a great method for us to capture those ideas and move on them quickly.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, Bowen, and then on to you. So as you guys have had, very rapid growth, how have you sort of created and maintained culture inside the organization?
It's been tough because a lot of it was early on. There was, when there was 7, 8, 10, 12, 15 people, you felt it was kind of the original kind of family that got it started kind of as the group. And so you have this rapid growth and you start to lose it. I think one of the biggest things we did and continue to always try to do is bridge the gap between, or for there not to be a gap between sales and operations. And so we've brought, the sales team in with operations meeting, operations in with sales, really encouraged, some, shout outs towards each other and to try to, kind of forge more of a relationship between them. So, I think, we have this message board that there's TVs in a couple of different locations at throughout the buildings, and so you can see everything from employee announcements to somebody that's had an anniversary that's been there for however many years, new hire and kind of their full information about them. But the sales team will cook for operations and everybody else there. Probably do it like 3 or 4 times a year. Trying to do as much as we can to make sure everybody feels appreciated and important, and they have a voice too. I mean, so we had one thing where somehow a comment box showed up outside of our HR office, and somebody put in there they wanted a nap room, but we nixed that, and a nap room's allowed. But I don't know. I mean, I think that it's interesting to hear what everybody, things like this, what people are doing to improve their culture. And you can do the donuts or do the, I think I told you, I was like, we don't do like the trust fall thing where we're all kind of rallying around each other, but you have to be mindful of your culture and make sure that you have to work at it in order to have a good culture. So.
Well, it's hard for me to believe, but we're getting close to the end. So we're gonna, there's a few questions we're gonna skip, and we're gonna kind of go right to the rapid fire last few questions, and then we're gonna do a little Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, this will be your time. So let's kind of wrap up with, what's one thing you wish your company or the industry as a whole did differently to support emerging leaders?
I would say what I appreciate most about the industry is just how tenured and we have lifetime employees, and I think that is one of our greatest strengths. I think because of that, sometimes there is a lack of opportunities for people to either move up if they aspire to be a manager or executive leader. And so I think for us, we could do a better job at providing development paths that aren't strictly vertical. Not everyone wants to become a manager, and so I think allowing people to grow in their expertise, provide additional leadership training, and I think being a leader isn't just a title. There's so many other ways that employees can use their influence and impact to make a difference in an organization.
Absolutely, thank you.
I think I would say the best thing to do if you're want to have your own business or you take over a leadership position is find a mentor and ask questions and listen. And I think this industry is doing a better job than it has a long time of trying to create, whether it's a round table or or getting groups together with kind of shared experiences. Has been one of the more valuable things for me. We tend to be a pretty antiquated industry, and I think that at the end of the day, we're all doing the same thing, and people, you just got to ask for help, and there's plenty of people out there that are more than happy to take their time to help walk you through something or give their shared experiences. I remember when COVID hit, we were a year and a half in, and I thought we were going out of business. I called 3 or 4 different people that I knew in the industry, and they're like, we're planning to cut back 30% on their workforce and all these other things. And, then you'd call them and say, hey, what's going on there? Nothing. I mean, this guy in Charlotte, it's like, y'all okay? It's like, no, business is good. We're doing well. So I think we could probably do a better job of continuing to create networks of people to help each other out.
I'm going to piggyback on what Sadie said 100% is just structured avenues of advancement, not necessarily vertical, because that's the main thing is just a lot of us younger individuals will get a little stagnant in their job and just growth individually because there are, a lot of employees who still have 15, 20 years left, and that's their next step in the younger individuals' minds. And so just finding ways to advance laterally and just making that a structured option for them in advance, letting them know that those options are there. And with the expanse of this industry through AI and other things, start structuring those options now before, because making it up for them as they go, having that pre-made there and letting them know that it's there is going to give them a lot more just self-confidence and a lot more confidence in your companies too, knowing that it's already there for them and not making it up as they start to feel like there's no options for them. It's going to give them a lot more confidence.
I would say, and it goes in both directions, don't make assumptions about generations. I think everything is very individual. And as an HR person, I think that's what I see. Of course, we believe in consistency and fairness and all of that. But the reality is every person has different reasons they're doing things or different goals or different skill sets. Everything. So I don't make assumptions about people of certain ages. And I think that goes in both directions.
Bring us home, Scott.
Yeah. I think what Sadie said, is the answer, honestly. But when I was kind of prepping for this question, I was like, I don't have a great answer. But I think we send a lot of our employees to local roundtables and stuff like that, I think, and I'm not getting paid to say this by the conference, but coming here and having more people from our team come here and just meet people, learn, it's great.
Absolutely.
I will take money though.
All right, very good. So anyone want to ask questions to these impressive young leaders?
Okay, Victoria, you said that you have people shadow
Yeah.
when you're doing the hiring process. Is that for every position?
Yes. I think I'm the only hire they've made in the last 6 years that didn't do it because there was no one for me to shadow. But we literally have them do it with everybody. So even forklift drivers, they're not running forklifts or anything like that, but they're in the yard. We take all the safety precautions, all of that, but it really, they get to see everything. People go on trucks, people we cover it all.
Do you ever, like, when you tell people that this is part of the hiring process, like, what's their feedback?
I have to be honest, I thought at first people would be like, ooh, that's a lot. And actually, I think people are very much appreciating it, because if you're making a commitment to an organization, and we really try and focus on the fact is you're making a long-term commitment. We're not looking to hire you for 3 months. So if you're making that commitment, we're going to do all our research and background checks on you and all of that. You deserve to do the same for us. And so when you explain it to people, I think people are kind of open to it. Of course, there's nuances. You know, if someone's coming from a competitor, we're sensitive to that stuff. We work around it. But yeah, I think at first people are a little surprised, but generally pretty positive. Yeah.
So one of my favorite, this is my favorite conference of the year, and I don't need to get paid for that either, but one of the things that I observed is, I can remember, it hasn't been that many years ago, and I'll call out the statement that was made that we are an industry that is male, pale, and stale. And as I look around this room and I see so many females here, what can we do to keep attracting good, talented females, people of color, into this industry from your perspective?
Do you want to take this? I have some thoughts. I think, you know, traditionally, I do think there is value to understanding every position in an organization. And so we have often had people start in the yard and move into sales and move into different departments. Realistically, a lot of our females are not able to physically do that, to be honest. So we do find other opportunities for them to see operations, be involved in operations, do all of that. But I think it's being flexible. Another part of it for me is culturally, I had 2 young kids when I joined the organization. And I remember distinctly our GM, who is now our president, saying to me, I will never ask you to miss one of your kids' things. And to me, that was really important. And that's not for every female, I'm not saying that, but I think that understanding, again, that individuality, so allowing room for women who do want to do that or want other things, and same with dads. We have a lot of dads who do the same thing. And I just think that kind of support is really, really important. And then sending us places like this and being present and having a chance to have a voice is really important.
I think that's exactly it. And I think I would only just add, like, the difference and variety of perspectives only makes our industry better. So I think just always being open to new perspectives, whether it's from the younger generation, from women, from anyone, I think it only makes us better.
Do we have any more questions? All right, let's give a round of applause to these amazing panelists. Thank you.